Let it vibe real quick. Look. The city eyes, it's time to vote God. My God, a real nigga, cause he wasn't no flaw. Posted on the corner like a watchdog. Family secure, got that shotty in the closet by the mob ball. Fuck what they heard, but tell them it's all true. Be cautious, that foundation falls till you fall through. They gon' fall. Look, I keep this shit 50 times 2. Ain't no more heart in this game, I'm John Q. Colder than the avalanche, way above average. Fears taste sweet, told him make me an apple tree. Left us in the valley full of bones, this where hope found. Child become a man, dark sands get broke down. Riding through Evanston with Mark Quad, telling me how them crackers turn his childhood to a ghost town. Focus out, nigga, I lay that game down. I feel his pain, cause nothing is the same now. Let my light shine like heaven through a rain cloud. Glock have a fit like my child, no tangent. Try to warn them niggas, we bear arms like tarantulas. Them other niggas rap, I make anthems. I really seen prophets under this banner. Make my enemies bow down on camera. Told my design I wanted black and white like a panda. I'm better than that nigga that sunk dirty to handle. Look, I move like a Brazilian, precious cargo, spirit Asian, but I got a new semi-auto. Wave that bitch around like where's Wardo. Sleep if they want, I cut through they Z's like I'm Zorro. Pay me for his name, so I gotta keep that steel clutch. Trust me, I'm not what you think. I squeeze till it click like Dorothy when the heels touch. The world got me dumb, I don't feel much. Ride around with Yaradon, just left the state bridge. Looking for a bitch better than Baby's kid. Remember I dropped Quiet Storm, I've been gone ever since. Still in the field, fuck them niggas on the fence, yeah.
All jokes aside, you know how niggas be like, I'm this and that for life, this and that for life. I'm on rest for life, nigga, this a blood oath. Hey, yo, Madara, here go a class for you, my nigga. 140 for the rebel.
The world turned its back on me. I'm a crippling. We got soldiers, he got soldiers, but I got different ones. Ain't no way out, I tell you once. Don't pray for nothing, sin and curse. We can't forgive what's forbidden. Remain in them trenches. Trust in the Lord, but please forgive me for the times that I did. If rank is given, have your respect to your apprentice. Be about your business. This loyalty's a death sentence. Look, trying to pick up with a blind fit. They said there'll be many mansions. I'm just grinding for my time share. Them devils ain't playing fair. They hunt you like Van Pelt. But ain't no getting out the game like Jumanji. Or if you take that oath, it's a Dundee. They try to deal death to a priest. You won't make it out in one piece. So you can stand. Just make sure you got the heart. Say your name 3 times and it's death do us part. Look. So how you feel about this truth I done shown? This ain't the like you think, little nigga. I should want. Even your own people go this zone. And the Lord said they hate you for my name. So you better keep it on. Ain't no more guessing. Ain't no more questions. Make sure my election till I'm tucked away like George Jetson. Murder for capital, now it's murder at the Capitol. The world in amazement, we like fuck 'em, raise it. I pity those watching life as it goes by. Be giving mercy in this life, I don't know why. In pump smoke, never try to. The dead at home, my brother be the dead and soldado. He's a photo, salute my nigga. Salute my nigga. They like, how you stay focused? I told him I'm motivated cause of you, my nigga. Brotherhoods and weapons, still got weapons on the scene. And I never do my niggas like Bishop did Raheem. Never mind in all beliefs, they under anesthesia. Shorty say she need me, said she wanna let that love go. Told I let that love grow. But if I bring you to my bed, that's a blood oath. So, how you feel about this truth I done shown? This ain't the life you think, little nigga. I should want. Even your own people go this zone. And the Lord said they hate you for my name, so you better keep it on. Yeah, yeah.
right. All right. Let's go ahead and clap it up. Let's see. Put a 1 in the chat if you can hear. Let me see if you can hear me. Somebody put a 1 in the chat if they can hear me. Let me see. Make sure this is plugged up. Should be Tawad. Should be good to go. All right. Most High Christ, the water. All right. Let's go ahead and get it in then. We'll start off saying Shalom Israel with the Israelite School of Universal and Practical Knowledge. Start out at 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commander General Yohana, Precinct Officer Kasar Pakat. This is a Thursday night scripture breakdown for ISUBK Arizona. Before we get into anything in tonight's topic, do we have any questions in the room or online? Does anybody have any questions?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
The question is a breakdown for who the wounded beast was in Revelation 13.
Revelation 13. Let's pull it up. Let's see. Revelation 13. Revelation 13 and which one?
Let's start at verse 2. You know, it's right there. They named the right after they talks about the. I'll read it.
Mm-hmm.
Revelation 13, verse 1. And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his 10 horns 10 crowns, upon his heads the name of blasphemy. Verse 2. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were the feet of a bear, and his mouth the mouth of a lion. The dragon gave him power and his seat in great authority. Verse 3. And I saw of his head as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. That's my question. Verse 3.
Mm-hmm.
It's like who is that beast that was wounded?
Right. Okay. I'm not gonna give you a full breakdown on this. We're gonna have to call and get the full breakdown on this one. I can give you a brief, glimpse into it. The 7 heads, the 10 horns, these 10 crowns of different nations, different governments. The 10 nations that come out of Europe. I want to say, and also the 10 markets that are traded in the European markets, man. Just go off a hand thinking England, Spain, France, Germany. That's just a brief quote. Like I said, don't quote me on any of this, you know what I mean? But I do remember, from what I can remember, the beast which I saw like unto a leopard. That was Alexander the Greek. I'm not even going to break it down. We're just going to go ahead and get the full breakdown, either from the general or talk to one of the captains. Yeah, that Revelations, man. As far as being wounded, yeah, I'm not even going. I ain't even going to do it. Just going to get the breakdown. Salakia.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody else got any other questions?
I could send you some.
You were talking about this the other day, weren't you?
Um,
What do you remember, Rock?
so like the nations that are in power right now,
Mm-hmm.
you can look at like the UN, for example. The UN rules the world with all their allies, and like you were saying, like with the shippings and all that, like the seven heads would be Portugal, Germany, Italy, France, Spain, England, Russia,
Mm-hmm.
right? And they gathered with the 10 horns. It's Berlin. So now we get into like, you know what I'm saying, the brothers. Berlin, Netherlands, Luxembourg, Denmark, Ireland, Switzerland, Scotland, Australia, Sweden, and the USA. You know what I'm saying? The true daughter of Babylon. So, you know what I mean? It's important that you know those names because those are the beasts. You know what I'm saying?
So which one would be the one that was wounded and healed?
You know what I'm saying? Alexander?
Huh.
You know what I'm saying? All of the images come from what? Like what did they translate the Bible from?
This portion of the group.
Yeah.
You tell me those names, sir.
Yeah. But like you said, like a fuller breakdown, it'll come from the generals. You know what I'm saying?
And I did have one more question, sir.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, it's Acts real quick. My question is basically, what is a proselyte?
Right.
When you read it, Acts 2:10,
Right.
it goes over everybody that was at the meeting.
Right.
10 Gaia,
Somebody.
Pamphylia in Egypt, and the parts of Libya about Cyrene,
Mm-hmm.
the strangers of Rome, Jews and proselytes.
Let's go ahead and read it. Pull it up from the top. I like go a few verses. Let me see. You had Acts 2
No, I was just started at Acts 2:10.
to 10. Go up to verse 5.
Okay. Book of Acts chapter 2 verse 5. And there were dwelling in Jerusalem Jews, devout men out of every nation under heaven. And when this was noised abroad, the multitude came together and were confounded because that every man heard them speak in his own language. Verse 7, and they were amazed and marveled, saying to one another, behold, are not all these which speak Galatian? And how hear we every man in our own tongue, wherein we were born? Parthians and Medes and Elamites and the dwellers of Mesopotamia and in Judea and Cappadocia and Pontus and Asia and Phrygia and Pamphylia in Egypt and in parts of Libya about Cyrene, the strangers of Rome, Jews and proselytes.
Right. So it's going through, it's listing all the different the devout men, right? Jews out of every nation. It's going to listen to different nations, the Elamites, Mesopotamia, Judea, Cappadocia, Pontus, Asia, Phrygia, Pamphylia, Egypt, and parts of Libya, and Cyrene, and strangers of Rome, Jews and proselytes. All right, so it's actually an interview that just came out yesterday with what's the brother's name? Amari Stoudemire. Have you heard of this brother? He played in the NBA.
Yeah.
Used to ball, used to do his thing. Do you know anything about him right now, as far as being Israelite or what's going on with him?
No, he said that the Jews over there are fake Jews. And he got kind of some backlash, but I ain't kept up on it since then.
Right. But before that, what is his history with living in Israel and et cetera? What does he believe in?
I didn't know he went to live in Israel.
Okay. Somebody Google the word proselyte, and then we'll go from there. Mm-hmm.
I got so proselyte in the Merriam-Webster dictionary, a new convert
Mm-hmm.
as to a faith or cause.
Right. So new convert. So proselytism is something like people go out and evangelism. They try to convert somebody and they make you join into the religion that they believe in, right? And so when brothers read this one, you would often think like, are they converting people into becoming Jews, right?
Right.
When it's,
They weren't living that way before, right?
exactly. That's what it is. Not like you're converting a heathen to become an Israelite. The proselytes here is talking about people like Amari Stoudemire, who are Israelites by blood. You see what I'm saying? He is actually a Jew, but he's gone to these heathens to learn how to become an Israelite. They all these different rappers. What's the other brother's name? Shine. He converted to Judaism. You see what I'm saying? So these are brothers that grew up as heathens, grew up amongst heathens, didn't keep the Sabbath, didn't get circumcised on the 8th day, and they have been brought back in and converted, quote unquote, to following their original culture. No different than what we are here today. You see what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
So that's what that means right there.
Gotcha. So there's no because I asked was one of the brothers I was battling over there at the spot I stay at.
Right.
Brought it up to me a couple of days ago about are you guys like proselytes for Israel? And I was like, I can't even answer because I don't even not sure what that means. We can break it down. He said, well, you get to go to Israel and do the paperwork to become a proselyte.
Right.
And I was like, well, I don't know nothing about that. So I told him I'm not going to answer something I don't know nothing about.
That's what Amari Stoudemire has done, but he went to the fake so-called Jewish man to learn how to become who he really is by blood. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they're the people that actually converted to an identity that's not theirs. You see what I'm saying? But that's not what's being talked about here in the Bible. And so what you want to know is when you know the Bible and the spirit of what we've learned here in the UPK, when we're gonna go in that tonight about cutting the Christians. When you hear a Gentile can be saved, what do you know about that?
I know that Gentiles they're talking about the ones who took on Greek culture,
Right?
Were Jews by blood,
Right. So that should always be your guiding light of understanding how the Bible works, understanding the spirit of the men that wrote this book, understanding that the Lord, our God, changes not. The Lord doesn't change, right? He's consistent. So if you see something, you know it has to line up with what is the foundation of the truth. You see what I'm saying? Like when people read about Ruth being a Moabite, they automatically see that, oh, she came from Moab. So in their mind, she has to be a Moabite. But if you understand that the Lord is dealing with Israelites, the Lord only loves the children of Israel, reading all these precepts, we know that this book is about one nation of people. And he said the other nations are as nothing. Why the hell would a heathen have a book in the middle of the Bible? You see what I'm saying? Yeah. And get glory as being amongst the Israelites, when we know that's against the laws of God. So once we know that, we know, okay, let's go into the book of Chronicles. Let's go over here and see the research from in the book of Numbers and Exodus when Moses was going in and they took over the land of Moab. And they said you start to put the pieces together. You start to look at the maps and you start to find, okay, this adds up and makes sense to what we've been taught. No different, you know what I mean? So that's one thing when you see things like that, you should always know in your mind, if they're trying to say this is saving the heathen, they're wrong. So it can't mean that. Okay, what does this mean? Let's look up the word proselyte. You see what I mean? But you always come get the breakdowns. Never teach something that you don't know. But definitely just remember that when you're reading things and going through the Bible, just to know that if it seems like something sounds Christian, then it has to be something else, man. You know what I mean? Okay. All right, most on Christ. All right, we got a few more questions. All right, sister said, in Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2, verse 13, when it says he, is he talking about Yahushua? Somebody give me that one. Wisdom of Solomon and Apocrypha. chapter 2, verse 13. Do we got one for you? All right. Whoever gets it first, go ahead and read. Matter of fact, yeah, let's go ahead and read that first.
The book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2, verse 13. He professeth to have the knowledge of God, and he calleth himself the child of the Lord.
Right. So a question is this he right here, when it says he professeth to have the knowledge of God, and he calls himself the child of the Lord? She's asking, the sister is asking if this is talking about Yahushua Mashiach. Let's go to the first verse of chapter 2.
Okay. The book of Wisdom, Solomon, chapter 2, verse 1. For the ungodly said, reasoning with themselves, but not aright. For our life is short and tedious, and in the death of a man there is no remedy. Neither was there any man known to have returned from the grave.
Right. So this is talking about the ungodly, the people that want to do evil in their life. They're saying that no one has returned from the grave. They're basically talking about living like YOLO. They're trying to make plans on how to do evil and how to maximize their evil profits in life, basically. Go to verse 2. Matter of fact, go to verse 5.
Verse 5. For our time is a very shadow that passeth away, and after our end there is no returning. For it is fast sealed, that so no man cometh again.
Right. So these people, like I said, they just living like YOLO. You only live once. We're not coming back. There's no reincarnation. We just gonna, since our life is coming to an end, we're gonna die, and there's nothing to come after that. Verse 6.
Verse 6. Come on, therefore, let us enjoy the good things that are present.
Let's get high. Let's go to the club. Let's go to the strip club. Let's become whores. Let's become pimps. Let's become drug dealers. Let's do robberies. Let's do homicide. Let's gangbang. Let us enjoy the good things that are present. Keep going.
And let us speedily use the creatures like as in youth.
Right. All right. And then so, it keeps going on. Verse 7, let us fill ourselves with costly wine and all these things. And just trying to live the good life is just like rappers, like the whores on Hip Hop House of Love, right? So let's go to verse 10.
Verse 10. Let us oppress the poor righteous man. Let us not spare the widow, nor reverence the ancient gray hairs of the age.
Right. So the way they're going to become rich is to oppress other people. How does a drug dealer get rich? By selling drugs to drug addicts. How does a prostitute get rich? By selling her body to sex addicts. How do you know what I'm saying? People that rob, they make their money off of oppressing other people. A pimp makes the money off the prostitute that's selling her body. You see what I'm saying? All of these things is what happens. So this is how these people are going to get rich. Verse 11.
Verse 11. Let our strength be the law of justice, for that which is feeble is found to be nothing worth.
Keep going.
Verse 12. Therefore, let us lie in wait for the righteous, because he is not for our turn.
Right. So they're trying to plot on the righteous man. They want to get over on people that are doing good. This person believes everything is a nice person, is an honorable man. We can finesse them. You know what I mean? And that's really the Christian church are the biggest ones. They finesse people that have a zeal for the Lord, but not according to knowledge. They want to come in. You're trying to do right. You're trying to get your life right. You go to church, you're trying to get your life right, and you leave out of there with more demons than you did when you walked in. You get told that all you got to do is dip yourself in water, and you can live your life however you want, and just ask for forgiveness every Sunday, and you'll be good as long as you pay this pastor tithes, right? Keep going.
And he is clean, contrary to our doing. He upbraided us with our offending the law, and
objective
to our infamy, the transgressing of our education.
Right. So this is also like the priests and prophets that come and teach against these evil and wicked men that try to prosper off of the poor righteous men. You see what I'm saying? That try to come over a solid brother. These are the people that are going to teach against them, and so this is why they hate them. Keep going.
Gone. Verse 13. He professes to have knowledge of God, and he called himself the child of the Lord.
Right. So this righteous brother says that he has knowledge of the Lord and calls himself a child of the Most High, right? Or has knowledge of the Most High and calls himself the child of Yahweh. All right, keep going.
Verse 14. He was made to reprove our thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 15. He is grievous unto us, even to behold. For his life is not like other men's. His ways are of another fashion.
Right. So this one could definitely be used to talk about Yahweh Shai. Is it specifically talking about Yahweh Shai right here? No, it's talking about just the righteous men throughout the times, throughout the Bible, all the different priests and prophets, all the righteous people that really had a understanding of what the Lord wanted us to do, follow the law, statutes, and commandments. But definitely Christ is the epitome of a poor righteous brother. You see what I'm saying? So Christ exemplifies this to the fullest, and this is why they hated Yahweh Shai Mashiach, because he was a brother like this, and he was going out and teaching and rebuking them for taking advantage of the people and trying to live their life to the fullest off the suffering and pain of others. You know what I mean? So and it goes on to say they want to try and see if he's right. That's like the Sadducees and Pharisees asking for a sign. Christ said, you viperish generation, that you seek for a sign, that you coming out here and you want to test Christ to see if he's true, and you really still not going to follow him. So why am I going to tell these people, you know what I mean? Why am I going to break these things down to you? You guys want to take this and go and make money with it. It's talked about that in the New Testament. There were certain people that wanted to come and pay Paul and Peter and the apostles money to learn how to cast out demons in the name of Yahweh Shai. They wanted to make profit off of it. You know what I mean? He's like, nah, that's not what this is about. So, when it was speaking, it was just speaking in general, but it also can definitely be used for Yahweh Shai, if that answers the sister's question. All right. We got one more question. Ozer Virtuoso. He wants to, somebody give me, do not abhor your brother, the Edomite. For Edomites, this is the classic Christian precept, classic, what are they called? Conscious community precept. Cut an Israelite, can't wait to catch one West slipping. Do not abhor Edomite because he's your brother. Okay, where's it at?
Deuteronomy 23, verse 7.
All right. And let me see, I'm going to ask the brother, what? I know it's kind of hard to do it. I'm just going to give it a breakdown, but you can put your comment, brother, if you're still watching. What do you think do not abhor your brother, the Edomite, means? Does it mean that we should love the oppressors, the people that have raped, robbed, and murdered Black, Hispanics, and Native American Indians for the past 500 years, the Romans that killed our king? Do you believe that that's what it means, or do you just want the breakdown because someone asked you this and you weren't familiar with it? But let's go ahead and read it. What'd you say it is?
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 23, verse 7.
Right.
Thou shalt not abhor an Edomite,
Right.
for he is thy brother. Thou
Right.
shalt,
Go ahead.
calm down. Thou shalt not abhor an Egyptian, because thou was a stranger in his land.
Right. Hold on. One more time. You said Deuteronomy. Call it out again.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 23, verse 7.
Right.
Thou shalt not abhor an Edomite, for he is thy brother.
Right. So abhor. Who knows what the word abhor means?
Can't say the word. Abominably.
Abomination? What are you talking about? Go ahead, up.
It's like means to hate
Right.
with with the it's with a special intensity.
Right.
Okay, like better expression.
Right.
I got it.
Go ahead.
Definition of abhor from Merriam-Webster dictionary. Meaning of abhor is to regard with extreme repugnance,
Mm-hmm.
to feel hatred or loathing for it.
Right.
Loathe, how to use. That's it.
Regard, see, regard with disgust and hatred, detest, hate, loathe, despise, abominate. All right. So, do not abhor an Edomite. So when we go out and we teach that your oppressor is the devil, the Bible speaks of, someone hears that and they say that we're hating the Edomites. To abhor someone in the biblical context means an action, to go out and to physically harm a person because of how you feel. And they often say that we abhor an Edomites in ISUPK, when in reality, we work at your McDonald's, we drive your Ubers here in the UPK, we go to work, we say hi, Tom, we say hi, Susan. You understand what I'm saying? We don't go out and harm Edomites. We walking in the door, they walking behind, we don't just close the door behind them. But what we do hate is the death, destruction, the rape, the robbery, and murder that these people have committed against us. We hate the actions that these people have done against us. We don't hate them because of their blonde hair, their blue eyes. We don't hate them because of how they look or any nonsense like that, because of the color of their skin and none of that, man. So we don't abhor any Edomites here in the UPK. We don't go out and teach that we're supposed to lay hands on Edomites because they're this race of people. You know who teaches that? Edomites. Edomites teach in the KKK you should go out and hang black people because they're black. You should go into a grocery store and shoot 10 elderly black women and men because they're black women and men, and for no other reason. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
They abhor us. They hate us. But we don't do any actions behind what we're saying. We hate them we abhor them for their actions in that sense, but we don't actually carry it out, which that's what the context, that's what it means. And the other precept you will go to is the precept about Cain and Abel. Cain received the mark of Cain, and they were told not to go out and harm Cain, even though he did this crime to his brother. He was marked with red skin where you could see the blood. That was what differentiated Cain from everyone else on earth that had brown skin. And you could see Cain and see this mark that he had. So the spirit of Cain is the spirit that your oppressor has to this day, and that is the Edomite, and we're not to harm them. You see what I'm saying? That is not how we're going to free ourselves from our oppression. The Bible says that. You got to go, or no sweat. All right, man. Just let brothers know if you tawab. All right. So what was I saying? That these oppressors have the mark of Cain. If you try to harm them, then matter of fact, somebody get that for me. It's Genesis 3rd, 4th chapter. Describe that, and that's why we can't do anything to them. 4th chapter, can't be avenged, some fault. Go down to verse 15.
Genesis chapter 4, verse 15. The Lord said unto him, therefore, whosoever slayeth Cain, vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold. The Lord set a mark upon Cain, lest any finding him should kill him. Right.
So this is what our oppressors have, man. You can be the Taliban, you can be the Viet Cong, you can be China. Everybody that tries to come up against him and tries to do something to him, it doesn't work out, man. And that's because the Lord put this mark on him, because the Lord wants to get vengeance against him. This is also, where's the precept? I think Exodus, the 16th chapter, it talks about the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart that he might get glory in thee. It's also in Romans in the 9th chapter, you know, a little bit after it says, Jacob have I loved, Esau have I hated. You go further down, it talks about how the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart so that he might get his glory in thee. You know what I mean? So that's what's going on with the oppressor, man. ISUPK, we do not abhor anybody. We follow the Bible 100%. We don't hate them for who they are, and we don't do anything against them. But we for sure as hell are going to speak about the crimes that they do against our people. We hate drugs in our community, and these oppressors put drugs in our community. We hate the prison system that they built for us. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to speak about that. And that's what a priest and prophet is supposed to do. So hopefully that answered that brother's question. We can move forward to tonight's topics. Lock it. All right. We're going to try to move quickly. That took up some time. Class. The name of tonight's class is, let's go ahead and give it up one more time, man. Let's lock it. We'll reset. ISUPK started 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under commanding General Yohana. Today's topic is cutting a Christian to the white meat. You know what I mean? That's an old black saying. You hear your grandma talk about that, they bust that boy's head to the white meat. You see the white meat, you didn't went deep. You didn't made a real serious injury. And so we're just going to talk about cutting these Christians because that's what we do in 1 West ISUPK. We undefeated since 1969. No one is able to come up against us. No one is able to defeat us because I'm going to ask y'all, brothers, why is no one able to defeat the ISUPK? Go ahead.
The Lord is with us.
Lord is with us. Okay, I'll take that. Why is the Lord with us?
Follow His commandments.
Follow His commandments. Okay, I'll take that too. I want to see you follow the laws. If you follow the laws, what does that mean? You go ahead.
Striving to be perfect.
Try. You said what?
Striving for perfection.
Right, but we undefeated, so that means we perfect in this. So why are we perfect?
Because we live the Bible.
Okay.
When lies come against the truth, the lies always get exposed. So if we're in the truth, when we follow the truth, we can easily identify the lies.
Okay, that now you that was the key word I wanted to hear. You said we follow the what?
The truth.
Right. And ISUPK is the what?
The home of the truth.
Right. So we're undefeated because we speak the truth. That's what you always got to know. That no one can defeat you because you're speaking the truth. So if you're going against what we're saying, then what are you saying?
Contradicting of the Bible.
Right. But if
Lying.
you're doing what?
Lying.
You're saying a lie.
Right.
You see how that works? These other people, they get defeated because they don't have the truth. You see what I'm saying? And what is the truth according to the Bible? How do you define the truth according to the Bible? Where can you find it? I want that precept.
John 8:44.
Lie. You can paraphrase it if you know it. All right.
John 4:22.
What's that?
She worship.
Lie. Nope. The key word is the truth, right? We want to know what is the truth. How does the Bible define the truth? All right. Somebody pull Psalms 119, verse 142.
This is Psalms chapter 119, verse 42.
142.
Verse 142. Thy righteousness is the everlasting righteousness, and thy law is the truth.
Right. ISUPK is the home of the truth because we follow the law, statutes, and commandments of the Bible. Like you said, you all were correct. You said we live the Bible, and living the Bible is following the laws of God. They don't speak any truth because there is no truth in them. That's what it said. Now that's where you get to John 8:44. The devil is a lie. You see what I'm saying? So that's where you can go there, man, because this is why we defeat them, is because they're teaching lies and we're teaching the truth. And the truth, the foundation of truth is the law. What's a fake Israelite going to tell you? Well, I follow the law. Look at my fringes. I follow the law. I don't eat any pork. I don't eat any shrimp. I don't eat any crab, any lobster. That might be right. That might be true. But why do we say you're not in the truth? Because they neglect the most important law. They neglect the two most important laws. I'll say it like that. Y'all should, that should be it right there. What's that?
One day, let them Lord with all their heart, they don't let their brother with all their heart either.
Well, right, that's it. Right? Love the Lord your God with all your heart and all your mind, all your soul, and love your brother as yourself. You can follow all the laws about not eating pork, not eating shrimp, not eating crab, not eating lobster, wear all the fringes you want. But you guys lack brotherhood because you won't gather yourselves together with your brothers here in the UPK, man. We should be one body, one spirit, one Lord, one baptism. That's what we should be. They should be striving and fighting to come together as one body, man. Until you have that, then what law are you really following, man? You see what I'm saying? Everything else is for a show. If you don't fight to love your brother as yourself, man. And that's what we have here in the UPK, man. All right. So with that, let's go into like I said, cutting these Christians to the white meat. We're gonna start off with some precepts that they like to pull. Let's go to Romans 1:16. Romans 1:16. Baba Kasha.
Romans chapter 1, verse 16. It reads, "For I am not ashamed of the gospel of Christ, for it is the power of God unto salvation to everyone that believeth, to the Jew first, and also to the Greek."
Right. So when they pull this, when they okay, we got you right here, the book of Romans. Salvation is going to go to the Jew first and also to the Greek. And so they may even go into the Strong's Concordance. And we're gonna go ahead. I'm gonna put this on the screen. Let's see, select it. Present, share screen. One. Go ahead. Go ahead. No sweat up. All right. So Strong's, if you click on that word that says Greek, it gives you 1672. The word is Helen, a Greek, usually a name for a Gentile. So it's usually the name for a heathen. That's what they're saying, but it's not always that. You can also go further down. A Greek, usually a name for Gentile. Helen, the native word for a Greek. It is, however, a term wide enough to include all Greek speaking, i.e., educated non-Jews. So they're going to be like, oh, see, we got you. This word means non-Jews. So this is clearly cutting you and showing you that this is talking about heathens. But you go further down, it says Helen or Helene, originally referred to any native Greek and later became synonymous with any Greek-speaking person, i.e., anyone who followed Greek culture, especially spoke Greek. You go in the Zondervan Bible Dictionary and you look up the word Hellenist. It says Jews who made Greek their tongue and with it often adopted Greek ideas and practices. You can find that in Acts 6:1. It'll say Grecian or Hellenist. In Acts 9:29, it says the word Grecian. You go into the Greek, it says Hellenist. Put something else. Let's see if I put this up on here. So we add that to the stream. That's the first one. Let them see that. Look that up. We'll remove this one. Put up the other definition. Strong's in 1675. You'll find that on in Acts, the 9th chapter and the 29th verse. Let's see. Share this. You know, these people that come up against us, they don't know the Bible. They don't go into the history. Let's see. Stream. Let's see. Give me Acts chapter 9, verse 29. Bible shop. So you can go in and pull all these things out. Matter of fact, I'm gonna put something up else on the screen while this brother gets that. This is something else I would also go look into and do further research in for yourself on your own time. Is look up Hellenistic Judaism. Share the screen on the screen. Right. Sure. All right. What else do we got? We go back a little bit. Talks about how did it start? The conquest of Alexander in the late 4th century BCE spread Greek culture and colonization in the process of cultural change called Hellenization over non-Greeks lands. And you can just go into that, look in and understand the history behind Hellenization. We can find this in the book of Maccabees. So those are the two of the things that you should do when they start to tell you neither Greek nor Jew. There has to be a historical context into why it says Greek specifically. Why didn't it say why neither Jew nor African? Why didn't it say neither Jew nor Chinese or Arab or Ishmaelite or Ethiopian? It's specifically saying Greek because there was a conflict in the nation of Israel about people that wanted to follow the Hellenists. They wanted to be a part of the Hellenization process. And today we experience this in America with our brothers from the tribe of Gad, with the Indian schools that they had. They had a saying, they said, kill the Indian, keep the man. Something like that. I don't know if I'm saying it wrong. I believe it's kill the Indian, keep the man. Basically, kill the culture of the native inside of this person, but keep the body and reboot him up, re-download or program him to be like the oppressor. Become an Edomite by culture. You cut your hair. You change their name. You change the foods they eat. What else is your culture? You change the clothes they wear. That's what the Greeks mastered this. And this is how they were able to colonize and build one of the biggest empires under Alexander the Greek. And that was his claim to fame, is that that's how he changed the game. The people before him would try to conquer you with just the sword, and that's it. And people would constantly want to rebel against someone that killed their father, killed their mother, raped their sister. I may grow up and I'm submitting to you now that you've conquered me, but one day I'm going to rise up and I'm going to get older and I'm going to want to get vengeance for what you've done to my people. But if I take this child and I make him look up to Socrates and Plato, and I make him want to read Greek mythology, I make him want to follow the gods of the Greeks, when he grows up, why would he hate the Greeks? The Greeks made me who I am. I love Greeks. I'm a Greek. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And that's what happened. This is the battle. And this is why these precepts were happening in the book of Romans. I'll read it once again. Romans 1:16. For I am not ashamed of the gospel of Christ, for it is the power of the Most High unto salvation to everyone that believeth, to the Jew first and also to the Greek. The brothers that knew the laws of the Bible, that knew the Torah, knew the Tanakh, had the history, salvation's coming to them first. You just need to understand who Christ is and what he has done. You're going to be the ones that go out and explain who Christ is to these heathens that know nothing about circumcision, know nothing about not eating pork. They don't know about the different laws that we have in the Bible. You have to go and teach them, to the Jew first, then to the Greek. That's what this was. So let's go to the book of Maccabees. So I'm saying all that to say you can pull those things out, and you can also go to Second Maccabees 6:6 and go back to the root of why they were calling themselves Greeks, and it's recorded in the Bible. It's also recorded in history. And I'm trying to move a little fast for time's sake. Yeah, we're 2 hours. Oh, you never pull that. Matter of fact, go ahead. I'm gonna pull the Maccabees for you. You just get the Acts.
I'm right there, sir.
Okay.
The book of Acts, chapter 9, verse 29.
Mm-hmm.
And he spake boldly in the name of the Lord Jesus, and disputed against the Grecians.
Right.
But they went about to slay him.
Right. So when you hear what Grecians, who are some other Eastons out here? You got the Phoenicians. So modern day, are there any other people? Ooh, we have I said the Haitians, Grecians, Haitians, different races. You know what I mean? They get identified by the first part of the name, and they add this to the end of the name. Now, you hear this word Grecian, you would naturally think it means someone that was Greek. The Greeks tried to kill him. But you go further into the Strongs, we brought it out, 1675. Accordance, that word Grecian means a Hebrew or Jewish person a Jew that could not speak Hebrew. That's all it means. What does it say again? It says, a Hellenist, a Grecian Jew, a Greek-speaking Jew. That is one who can speak Greek only and not Hebrew. That's how even today among the tribe of Issachar, you hear about people that are considered like Pisces, that come from Mexico, grew up in the Mexican culture. And then you have, what do they call them? They're called Slovakia. Someone that grew up in America, they call them a good night. It's right on a, not a cholo, but a
I can't
you
remember
know the
word.
man, somebody that grows up in America, not a gringo. It's another word they call them. It starts with a C too. Slovakia. Call them Slovakia. I can't think of the word right now. It's right. They always talk about these brothers from here, Chicanos. That's what they call them. They call them Chicanos, right? They say you're a Chicano because you grew up here in America. Some of them don't even speak Spanish. So they look at them and look down upon them because they're like Mexican Americans. They're not, in their mind, like real Mexicans, even though they have the same blood, same DNA. Their mother can be considered a real Mexican. But since I grew up here, I don't speak Spanish, I don't speak English. I'm a Chicano, and I'm not a pure Mexican in their mind state. Even our brothers from Jamaica, anybody in Israel does the same thing to this day. Brothers from Jamaica, if you were born in Jamaica, you raised in Jamaica, and you move to New York, they call you a Yankee now. You know what I'm saying? Is if you from down south and you move to the West Coast, they're gonna call you Cali now. You didn't go on Hollywood, they're gonna call you Hollywood. You know what I mean? Anytime we move away from our people, if we don't have something that they had originally, it's like you're different. So that's how they started to treat each other. But let's go to the book of Maccabees, 2 Maccabees chapter 6 and verse 6.
Maccabees chapter 6, verse 6?
Yeah. He started verse 5.
The book of 2 Maccabees chapter 6, verse 5. The altar also was filled with profane things, which the law forbidded. Neither was it lawful for a man to keep Sabbath days,
Right,
or ancient feasts, or to profess himself at all to be a Jew.
right. So this is when this happened, when Antiochus Epiphanes came in after Alexander the Greek, and he continued this process of Hellenization, and he got so upset with the Israelites. He got so upset with them trying to fight back and not obey them, not do the things that they wanted us to do, like the 7 children that didn't eat the pork, didn't eat the swine, like Judas Maccabeus and his father Mattathias that went against them. There's so many different Israelites that kept not disobeying them that they end up making these ordinances and these rules that went against our laws directly. We were just reading in the book of Esther that the other nations hated us, specifically Haman hated us because they said our laws were not like their laws. So we have these laws. One of the big things, we made a few lists of what is important to one's culture. What's one of the most important things how you can identify someone's culture? What do you think of? Language, that's one of them.
Clothing.
That's another one. What's another big one? Damn near top 3. You think about someone's culture. You can identify their culture by seeing what? We do it every day.
The way they act, the way they behave.
Something that we do. One more try, and I'll go ahead and give it to you. Think about people's culture. Oh, I know they're from there because they do this. I know they're from there because I see this.
What they worship or
Lie. We said clothing too, sir, but what they eat. What you eat. You know, Chinese people, Chinese food. Mexican,
right.
Mexican food. Jamaican food. Whatever. Italian food. This Italian, you see a bunch of tomatoes and noodles and pasta. You're like, Italians over here. See what I'm saying? Yeah. So, a lot of people, especially back in those days, the way you pull someone in to be a part of you or to welcome them is to offer them food. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Come eat with me. Here's a free dinner. Here's a meal. If you decline that, that's offensive. You see what I'm saying? And in Hamite culture, it's very big when you come up to the house, they offer you some food. Here, man, come on, eat some jollof rice, eat some food, eat some. And you come in and you're like, man, no, I don't want none of that. I don't eat that. My son don't eat that. My cousin don't eat that. We don't want none of that jollof rice. We don't want none of that food. We good. They like, who does this nigga think he is? You think he better than us? You see what I'm saying? It's offensive. Moabites are the same way. You know what I mean? They got stories in their culture. You know, when a book called The Joy Luck Club, and this Moabite married an Edomite, and she brought him over to his house to eat with her family. And they asked him, how's the food? He was like, needs a little bit more salt. And they was like, oh my God. They started talking to their language to each other. How disrespectful. This heathen come up in here and he disrespecting our food. And they didn't like him. But they talking amongst themselves. And when he leave, they really expressing how they don't like him because it was disrespectful. So imagine how the Israelites are. We don't eat your shrimp. We don't eat your crab. We don't eat your pork. We don't want your lobster. Don't bring that bat. Don't bring that cat, that dog. We don't even want to eat with you heathens. We don't do that. That law is disrespectful. It separates us from these other nations. So they always hated on the children of Israel because of things like this. And so basically, they made these rules and these ordinances that we couldn't keep these feasts. We couldn't keep our Sabbaths. We couldn't even profess ourselves to be a Jew at all. And that's still in effect to this day. Because if any black man that has prominence comes out and says that they're an Israelite by blood, they're called anti-Semitic. They called crazy. They lose their jobs. They lose their endorsements, like Kanye West, like Kyrie Irving, like Deshaun Jackson, like Nick Cannon. Anybody that comes out and says we're Israel, this law still stands to this day that we're not allowed to call ourselves a Jew. And so Christians read the Bible and they say, see neither Jew nor Greek, and they automatically assume that it's talking about a heathen, but they don't understand the backstory. All right, we can move forward. Let's go to Romans 2:28. This is what a Christian may pull to try to cut you, and then we're gonna give you the things to cut them back. So if I was taking notes, I would kind of split it up. That's how I have it in my notes. This is what the Christian's gonna say. This is where we go to battle that.
It's the book of Romans, chapter 2, verse 28.
Mm-hmm.
For he is not a Jew, which is one outwardly, neither is that circumcision, which is outward in the flesh. Verse 29.
Mm-hmm.
But he is a Jew, which is one inwardly, And circumcision is that of the heart,
Mhm.
in the spirit, and not in the letter, whose praise is not of men, but of God.
Right. So they're trying to say that you can become a spiritual Israelite. You can become a Jew spiritually. You're not one of the outward circumcision like the other Israelites that follow the laws. You're one that's in your spirit, in your heart, in your mind, and you see all this type of Christian nonsense dogma that they teach. I think let's go to the precept would be Ezekiel 37 and 23. I believe this is it right here. Bear with me. Ezekiel 37 and 23. Is that what I want?
I got it.
Right.
Book of Ezekiel, chapter 37, verse 23.
Lot.
Neither shall they defile themselves anymore with their idols.
Nope, that's not the one. That's not the one. Isaiah, Psalms, Jeremiah. Deuteronomy 30 and 6. Go to that one.
Deuteronomy 36.
Right.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 30, verse 6. And the Lord thy God will circumcise thine heart, and the heart of thy seed, to love the Lord thy God with all thine heart, and with all thy soul, that thou mayest live.
Right. So this is talking about, it's one thing to have the outward circumcision, and this is all of this is being spoken to the children of Israel. We know the book of Deuteronomy was only given to the children of Israel. We know about the curses in Deuteronomy 28 chapter. All of this is being talking to only the children of Israel. And so when you're reading about the Lord saying he will circumcise thine heart and the heart of thy seed, that's the heart of the children of Israel in the future, to love Yahweh thy power with all thy heart and with all thy soul, that thou mayest live. All right. I have one more. Let me see if I can find it real quick. All right, we may come across it. We'll come back to that. Let's go Romans 3 and 1. This is a precept that they would like to prove.
God. The book of Romans, chapter 3, verse 1. What advantage then hath the Jew?
Mm-hmm.
Or what profit is there of circumcision? See?
Right. So keep going.
Verse 2. Much every way, chiefly because that unto them were committed the oracles of God.
Right. So they'll be, you know what? The oracles of God were given to the Jew, but what advantage do they have? They don't have an advantage because they're the same as the heathen. There's no difference. Drop down to verse 9.
Okay. Verse 9. What then? Are we better than they? No, in no wise. For we have before proved, both Jews and Gentiles, that they were all under sin.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 10. As it is written, there is none righteous, no, not one. There is none that understandeth, there is none that seeketh after God.
Verse 12.
Verse 12. They are all gone out of the way. They are together become unprofitable. There is none that doeth good, no, not one.
Right. So once again in verse 9, they're going to say, no, in no wise, for we have before proved both Jews and Gentiles that they are all under sin. So we got a few things. We can go to Psalms 147 and 19 through 20, just milk precepts. You know, we all over. I don't want to hold the class too long. I might just try to drop all these precepts at the end, run it down. So I get that. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
The book of Psalms 147, verse 19. He showeth his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments unto Israel.
Right.
Verse 20. He hath not dealt so with any nation, and as for his judgments, they have not known them. Praise ye the Lord.
Right. So once again, they're going to try to tell you that we are all under sin. No, not one is not sin, but sin is the transgression of the law. The law was not given to these other nations, so how can they be under sin? You see what I'm saying? So that's how you cut that, what they're trying to teach. You can go further into that breakdown, and they made, and then also you drop down, you tell them to go down a little bit further, go down to, matter of fact, we're gonna bounce back around. Then they might pull something like Jeremiah chapter 3 and verse 8. You kind of want to study your enemies and cross the line radio, Captain Cesaria, Captain Katazab, and going out and cutting these Christians to the white meat. And once again, I want to explain that too. The reason why I said the white meat is because the inside of any Christian, no matter if they are black as purple and blue, blue, black, or as light as you can get, light bright. You know what I mean? The inside of them is Edomites, is an oppressor. We're trying to cut them to the white meat to unveil who Caesar Borgia is, who the white Jesus that you serve, that you believe in, who's a part of the LGBTQ community. We got to unveil that person and cut you down to that, man, to expose who is really underneath there, man. All right, and that's what we're saying. So go to Jeremiah 3, and what I say. Start at verse 8.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 3, verse 8. And I saw, for in all the causes whereby backsliding Israel committed adultery, I have put her away and given her a bill of divorce. Yet her treacherous sister Judah feared not, but went and played the harlot also.
Right. So it's saying how children of Israel, they're backsliding. They don't want to turn into the Lord. You can keep going further all the way down. Let's see if we can. What's it say? I don't even know. I've seen them pull this. I don't even know why they would pull this, but they'll try to use this to show that Israel turned our back on the Lord, and now they're going to that the Lord is going to open this up and to give salvation to these other nations. And that's the one thing that we always want to make them prove, is that salvation is for these other nations. And they can never prove it because it's not in the Bible. Salvation was only given to the children of Israel. Some precepts. 2nd Ezra 6 and 54.
2nd Ezra?
Yep. 2nd Ezra 6 and 54. There's another precept. You don't have to go to this one. It's Isaiah 40 and 15. You start to show that the Lord looked at these other nations as if they were nothing.
Book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 6, verse 54. And after these, Adam, whom thou madest Lord of all thy creatures, of him come we all.
Right.
And the people also whom thou hast chosen.
Right. So they're always going to try to say, we all come from Adam, and Adam sinned, Adam fell, but the Lord separated us from the children of Adam through Noah. We all come from Adam, correct? We come from Noah, his 3 children, Ham, Shem, and Japheth. But the people that the Lord has chosen, keep going.
Come on, verse 55. All this have I spoken before thee, O Lord, because thou madest the world for our sakes.
Right.
Verse 56. And as for the other people.
As for what?
As for the other people.
Keep going.
Which also come of Adam. Thou have said that they are nothing.
They are what?
They are nothing.
The Lord said these other nations, these other heathens are as nothing to the Most High God. Keep going.
But be like unto spittle.
Right.
And has likened the abundance of them unto a drop that falleth from a vessel.
Right. These heathens are nothing to the Lord. Shouldn't even be a question. You see what I'm saying?
No.
That God has a love and affection for these other nations, that he's going to change his mind. It says, I am the Lord your God, I change not. He's not going to change his mind how he feels about these nations. He created the world for our sakes. These heathens were created for us. No different than the gazelle is created for the lion to eat. These heathens were created to serve us. This is why there's more of them than there is of us. In the book of Deuteronomy, in the 7th chapter, and you go down past verse 6 and verse 7, it says, the Lord didn't choose us because we were great in number than all the nations. He chose us because we were the least, because he loved us. You know what I'm saying? How can we be on the top if who's going to serve us? That's how your oppressor thinks. He wants to have all these minorities around him who actually are outnumbering him, because we can make their life great by being more of us than it is of them. If they make the whole world serve them, then they get to get their strawberries for cheap. They get to live in this big mansion because they're taking all the resources from everybody. Well, it's going to be reversed, man. We are the small group, this nation amongst the rest of the heathens. They're all going to serve us. That's why he said the Lord made the world for our sakes. I know I'm all over the place. I keep up with me, though. The water for your service, warrior. Go back to the Jeremiah chapter 3, and we're going to show them the cut too, because they want to say that this backsliding nation cannot be saved because we constantly are going a horn on our husband, which would be the Lord. But the Lord doesn't want divorce. He wants us to stay together. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And so we'll go ahead and read verse 23. Jeremiah chapter 3, verse 23.
Jeremiah chapter 3, verse 23. Truly in vain is salvation hoped for from the hills and from the multitude of mountains. Truly is the Lord our God is the salvation of Israel.
Right. There it goes right there. So they'd be crazy if they want to pull that one on you. And when you can just drop down to verse 23 and it says that salvation is for Israel. Once again, let's go to, I got another one, and I'm just going to pull a lot of precepts to keep cutting them and breaking them down. Acts chapter 10. I'm not going to read too much of it. Just give a brief synopsis of Acts chapter 10. But this is how we have to, they say the truth hurts, and the truth will make you free. If you're in captivity, if we can't go in this book and prove them precept upon precept, line upon line, that what they believe is a lie, then they'll continue believing this lie because that's all they know. That's all they've been given is this lie over and over and over again, that they've been so brainwashed that even the majority of the time when they hear it, they won't believe it. But even a lot of people, that's how you know brothers that came into this truth. They didn't believe it. A lot of brothers didn't believe it too when we first heard it. But it was our ability to go in here and prove them the truth in this Bible that made them to go and look in to see, well, what is a Hellenist? I've never heard of this word before. What is a Hellenista? What is Hellenistic Judaism? What is Hellenism? Who is Alexander the Greek? I didn't know he had anything to do with the Bible. What is the Apocrypha? What is the book of Maccabees? They go deeper and deeper and start to see the context of the time. They're like, well, maybe these brothers have a point. Maybe I'm seeing what I'm seeing because I want to see this, but this is not the truth. And then maybe they'll see a brother get a knee on his neck for 8 minutes named George Floyd, and they start to see that your oppressor is the goddamn devil the Bible speaks of. And they'll start to see who he is, and he'll reveal himself to us, and they'll understand that there's nothing wrong with this Bible. We don't have to love these people, love these enemies. We have to love our enemies from my rival gang across town. I have to love my enemies, my father that used to beat me when he was drunk. I have to love my enemies, my mother that did this and did that, man. That's what Christ was talking about. That whosoever in John 3:16 is not talking about saving these heathens, it's talking about whosoever who has been destroyed because of the things that Alexander the Greek did to us. You see what I'm saying? Like, Christ didn't give up his life to save the children of Israel just because we deserve it. We've heard that all the time. Oh, we don't deserve to be saved. Christ didn't have to give up his life for us. one of the main reasons why Christ was willing to give up his life for his people is because he extremely loved us, and also because he understood what it's like to be oppressed. That if anybody on earth deserves a second chance at life, it's the blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians.
Right.
It's the oppressed. It's
Right.
the lowly. It's
Right.
the meek.
Right.
It's the ones that have had crack cocaine pushed by the kilos, thousands of kilos pumped into your community. They take your jobs away. They get rid of the factories. They pump guns into your community.
Right.
And when you don't have any money and you see your family destroyed, why wouldn't your brother start selling crack? And why wouldn't your mother start smoking crack? They have the greatest nation on planet Earth in human history. All the resources, all of the education is trying their best to destroy you. And when it works, you don't deserve a second chance. You the one that picked up a gun and went and killed this brother, man. It's a horrible thing. What you've done is worthy of death. But the things you've seen growing up, with your grandfather was a slave for 400 years, 500 years. Your grandmother was raped. All that pain and suffering, the abuse they passed down to you. You don't think you deserve a second chance at salvation to change your life and become better? That's who Christ would be willing to die for.
Right.
Not the oppressor, but the oppressed. All right. So let's go to Acts chapter 10. Yeah, we're not going to spend too much time in here, but yep, go ahead.
Verse 1.
Yep.
I got to look at Acts chapter 10, verse 1. There was a certain man in Caesarea called Cornelius, a centurion of the band called the Italian band.
Ooh, they're gonna say, boom, this person right here, he's an Italian, he's a centurion, his name's Cornelius. Boom, we got you. ISUPK, we got you One West. Body bag. They're gonna try to pull out the body bag on us. La, man. The same way you can be a part of a nation. Paul identified himself in Romans 11 chapter. He said that I'm gonna pull it right here. Romans chapter 11. I say, then hath God cast away his people? God forbid. For I also am an Israelite, the seed of Abraham, of the tribe of Benjamin. But also, you go into the New Testament, Paul also said that he was a Roman. So because he was a Roman, does that mean he's not an Israelite? La. Because they're saying Cornelius is a centurion from the Italian band, a part of this section of the Roman army. Does that mean he's an Italian by blood? La. He is an Israelite. And we know that, like I said, that's our guiding light. We know the Bible is only dealing with Israel, it's only trying to save Israel. So if there's something that looks like this, we have to know there has to be more to it. We go to verse 2 and we'll see what it's saying. Go ahead, Doc.
Quick question. Isn't centurion, isn't that just a rank within the Italian band?
A centurion? No, a centurion is like a soldier. I think it's a word for a soldier.
So for soldier?
Yeah.
No, so I'm just like, somebody tried to tell me like, no, oh, see, he was a centurion.
Right.
I was like, isn't just a centurion just like a rank or somebody told me? He's like, no, that's what he, no, that's his race. And I was like,
his race? They said centurion is his race?
yeah, that's what I heard that some years ago. And I was like, that doesn't make sense.
Right.
Because, I've heard many people call centurion, but they always look like soldiers to me. Now I've never seen nobody that was.
Right. Okay. So yeah, centurion. It does. It says it's like a rank. It is a rank too. The commander of a century in the ancient Roman army. So a century is like 100 people. A centurion was a position in the Roman army during classical antiquity. Nominally, the commander of a century, a military unit originally consisting of 100 legionaries. This is a very powerful person. Had a high rank in the military, right? A centurion is a kind of soldier in the Roman army responsible for the command of century, right? Or 100 men. Yep. Okay. But what were they saying? They said that's his race, though?
And somebody said that was his race. And I was like, that was.
Yeah.
That's just how that makes sense. I see many movies about Rome, and this is like such a tour is always a rank in an army.
Right. Yeah, you were correct. Salaki, yep. There's a rank, and like I said, of the band called the Italian band. So different, you know, in the military too, they have different names for different platoons, and they call them this. We're the Bulldogs, and we're this and we're that. That's all it was. This platoon or this area of the army that he was controlling was called the Italian Band. Doesn't mean he's an Italian by race. And how do you know this? Verse 2 is how you know this.
Acts chapter 10, verse 2. A devout man, and one that feared God with all his house, and gave much alms to the people, and prayed to God always.
Right, pray to the Most High always. So a devout man. What does the word devout mean? I'm just gonna say, like, you think of the word devotion, someone that's devoted to something. This brother was devoted to following the Most High, and we hear this word where else? We just read it tonight in Acts, in the 2nd chapter, starting at verse 5. It says, they were devout men, Jews, devout men, out of every nation. These were men that followed the laws of God and were obeying what the Lord wanted, right? And so this brother right here, he had a love for the Most High, but he was a part of the Roman army. You see what I'm saying? He had got into this situation, no different than today. So our brother may be a police officer. General Hazayan used to be in Esau's military, used to be a police officer in Esau's police force. But as he was in the police force, he started to study under Commanding General Yohanan, started to come into the truth, started to learn about the Bible, started to follow the laws of God, and started to obey these things. And still he was working as a police officer. And that thing was vexing him, and Commander Yohanan said, don't let that vex you. The Lord wants you here. You might be able to help a brother, save a brother at this time. You might, these Edomites are trying to beat this brother up. You coming in the room and you telling him to chill out. You might have saved this brother's life. And then eventually the Lord will make a way for you to be out of this situation, and you can go ahead and do something else, start your own business. And I know General Haas is better off than he was when he was under that situation before.
Okay.
And so this is the same thing that's going on with this brother Cornelius. He's learning these things. He knows his roots. He knows who he is. He wants to give money to the people. He wants to follow the Lord. And when it goes on, talks about how Peter didn't want to go into this man's roof because he looked at him like a heathen. The Lord said, don't consider him unclean or common. This is your brother. Sit with him, eat with him, teach him, love that brother, and welcome him into the truth, and let him get salvation and learn about Christ as well. So that's all that was. They'll try to use this story for that. What else do we got? We got Romans 9 and 24. I think that's pretty much it for right now.
Book of Romans chapter 9, verse 24. Even us, whom he hath called, not of the Jews only, but also of the Gentiles.
Right. So they're going to be like, this has to be talking about saving heathens, saving other races of people, not only the Jews, but also the Gentiles. Read verse 25.
Verse 25. As he said also in Osee, I will call them my people, which were not my people, her beloved, which was not beloved.
Right. And so they're going to say, okay, well, they never usually go to verse 25. They usually just pull verse 24. But you have to ask them, who was OC? Do they really know the history? Have they been studied? Or they might not even know who OC is. And a lot of times, even when you go down further in verse 27, it says Isaias. But we know that's Isaiah. So in the Greek, it's a transliteration of these names. And so sometimes they're spelt differently. We read in the book of Esther, one name was Mordecai, and they spelled it differently in the Apocrypha. It's the same name, though. No different than what's the name? Like Juan in Spanish or John in English. It's the same name, it's just different spelling, right? So they don't even know who Hosea is. Hosea is Hosea. You go, he's pulling a precept and he's quoting something. Go back to Hosea 1 and verse 10. Verse 9. You can even start verse 9.
Book of Hosea, chapter 1, verse 9. Then said God, call his name Lo-Ami, for ye are not my people, and I would not be your God.
Right. This is a prophecy that's going to happen. The children of Israel is going to be a certain time where the Lord will not be our God. We will be divorced from him. We'll go a whoring after other gods, other nations, other cultures. We'll start to call ourselves Greeks. At first, we are forced to call ourselves Greeks, but eventually we start to love being considered Greeks. We start to feel better than our brothers that aren't into Greek culture. We start to look down upon them. We start to say that they're crazy. That book you believe in, that old laws and Moses, man. Moses wasn't even real. They might start having philosophies about that just to impress their Greek friends. Just the way they look, people look at us today. You guys reading that crazy book, man, that's not real. You can eat whatever you want. Right. You can eat whatever you want, man. Our grandfathers made that book up. Eat the pork. It ain't going to kill you. Eat the shrimp. You being superstitious. You see what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong with the Greeks, man. These are good people. You guys are crazy. God loves everybody. They were saying that back then. See what I'm saying? Read verse 10.
Verse 10. Yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea, which cannot be measured nor numbered. And it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, ye are not my people, there it shall be said unto them, ye are the sons of the living God.
Right. So you living amongst the Romans, you calling yourself a Roman. You living amongst the Greeks, the Egyptians, you calling yourself this, you calling yourself that. Now in this place, now you will be called sons of the living God. Read verse 11.
Verse 11. Then shall the children of Judah and the children of Israel be gathered together and appoint themselves one head, and they shall come up out of the land. For great shall the day of Jezreel.
Right. So that's what's going to happen. This prophecy that's what was being talked about in the book of Romans. Is saying that the children of Israel that used to not be called the children of Israel, the Jews and the Greeks, or the Jews or the Gentiles, now will become back and be one. Northern kingdom, southern kingdom will be able to come together, become one under our leader Christ, our King, and that's what this was about. So I think I can just throw a few more. People are just taking their notes and just have that for themselves. Ezekiel 37 and 23, Hebrews 9 and 11, Galatians 3 and 28, Romans 9 and 3. What is that? We were just in Romans. What time we got? 8:09. How long is the class we're going? A minute, hour and 30. We're gonna get to a couple of these. I'll break those down. I know I'll be trying to. Okay. What? No sweat. So yeah, these are classics. Romans 9 and 3. For I could wish that myself was accursed from Christ for my brethren, my kinsmen according to the flesh, who are Israelites, to whom pertaineth the adoption and the glory and the covenants and the giving of the law and the service of God and the promises. Right? This is showing the covenants, the gifts, the promises, all these things. Salvation was promised only to the Israelites. That's here in the Bible. What was another one? I think the brother Poole. 9, 4 through 5. We got 9. Romans, Acts. Go to Ezekiel 37 and 23. I think we pulled that one earlier for a quick second. Ezekiel 37 and 23. Neither shall they defile themselves any more with their idols, nor with their detestable things, nor with any of their transgressions. But I will save them out of their dwelling places wherein they have sinned, and will cleanse them. So shall they be my people, and I will be their power. So once again, it says the Lord will save us, the children of Israel. You know, it's talking about that because if you go up to verse 22, and I will make them one nation in the land upon the mountains of Israel, and one king shall be king to them, and they shall be no more two nations, no more northern kingdom, no more southern kingdom, neither shall they be divided into kingdoms anymore at all. All right. What else do we got? Hebrews 9 and 1. Hebrews 9 and 1. Then verily the first covenant had also ordinances of divine service and a worldly sanctuary. This is a little bit. No, I won't get into that one. What did I say? No, it's supposed to be Hebrews 9 and 11. So lock here. Let's see. Nah, that one's not so good one. That might be a little bit more of a meat precept. I wouldn't use that one to go cut Christian. No, I wouldn't use that one. Let's see, anything else? Let's see what this Galatians 3:28. Yeah, I got one more. First Chronicles 16. Let's see. It's another good precept out of the Old Testament. 16. All right. You go to First Chronicles chapter 16, you start at verse 12.
Book of First Chronicles, chapter 16, verse 12. Remember his marvelous works that he hath done, his wonders and his judgments of his mouth. O ye seed of Israel, his servant, ye children of Jacob, his chosen ones.
Right, we're the chosen children of God. Keep going.
Come. Verse 14. He is the Lord our God. His judgments are in all the earth.
Mm-hmm.
But ye mindful always.
Be
ye mindful always of his covenant, the word which he commanded to 1,000 generations.
Right, these are the things that he told to generations and generations and generations. We know 1,000 generations is saying it's forever. Keep going.
Okay. Verse 16. Even of the covenant which he made with Abraham, and of his oath unto Isaac, hath confirmed the same to Jacob for a law, and to Israel.
And to who?
And to Israel.
Africa.
And to Israel.
The Greeks.
Israel.
China.
Israel.
Arabs.
Israel.
Keep going.
For an everlasting covenant.
Right, this is an everlasting covenant, man. That's what the Lord was dealing with. The children of Israel is in and out of this book. You go look up in your Strong's Concordance, look up the word Israel. It's mentioned over, I think it's 2,500 times in the Bible. Good night, man. This whole book is about the children of Israel and nothing else. It makes more logical sense that the entire book is about the children of Israel, and then they want to take this little bit of sections of Paul's writings that they don't understand and change the whole meaning of the book at the end. It's not what it's about. We read it throughout from Matthew, first chapter, 1-25. Christ came to save his people. I was not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. All these precepts, you can always pull those as well. Those are good ones, but this was a good foundation. You go ahead and and cut them to shreds, make them feel this big and this small, because the majority of them don't know the Bible. You might get some that come up and try to finesse you like they do, but just drill in and stick on these milk precepts, milk scriptures. For brothers that are officers, y'all know where to go to find everything you need. You know what I mean? Just follow that milk. That milk doesn't get spoiled. It's good milk. And you drill it in. You know what I mean? You watch Captain Zaryak, Captain Katazar, they battle 50 different people. They're going to go to Romans 9 and 25. They're going to go to Psalms 147. They're going to go to this, you know what I'm saying, over and over and over again, because it's the truth and you can't get around it. You know what I mean? So with that, unless we have any questions in the room or online, we're going to go ahead and close out this class. The water for the brothers that came to class tonight. The water, everybody online. Shalom to all the Akim and Akwathian. All right. Right, with that, go ahead and say Yahweh Yahshua Barakathum to all the brothers, and Yahweh Shemal Atham, Bashim Yahshua to all the sisters. With that, class is dismissed.